Hi, let me talk you a bit about Guilty Gear Xrd, because I want to. No, but seriously, I'm trying to give this game a mention every chance I get, because I think it's nothing short of amazing. And I've been getting my PvP fix from it lately, and I'm trying to get better at the game myself. In this video I'm going to talk a bit what the game is all about and shed some light on the basic mechanics, characters and so on. And if I'm really lucky, I can make some people give this game a chance, or provide basic information on what is actually happening on the screen if you happen to watch some of my videos about it. All the info I will be sharing about the game on this video is going to be very bare bones basic stuff, so no pro tips, combos or anything like that. Guilty Gear series has a long history, and if you're interested about how I originally got to know the series and some more basic info on it, check out my Classics episode about it. I will include a link into the description. But in this video we're going to focus on the latest reincarnation of Guilty Gear, the Xrd series. This might be possibly the worst time to talk about the game since Street Fighter V just came out and everyone is playing that at the moment, but hey, I like to live dangerously, and if you're still listening, let me introduce you to the world of Guilty Gear Xrd. First, let's go over the basic movement options in the game. Now, something you need to keep in mind is that movement in this game is quite heavily tied to the character you're playing, and there's a lot of character specific stuff in this game. But the movement I'm featuring here is the basic one that applies to most of the characters, although speeds and other details may change from character to character. For example, Potemkin has no dash or air dash, Slayer teleports instead of dashing, Millia has 2 air dashes instead of 1, and so on. So there's a lot of exceptions, which you get to know once you start playing the game. You can walk forward or back by just holding the direction. Most of the characters can also dash and backdash by double tapping the direction. Backdash has invincibility frames during the start of the animation. You can also jump by pressing up. Most characters have 2 jumps, of which the latter one can also be used for air dashing either forward or back by double tapping the direction. You can perform a super jump by pressing down fast before inputting the jump. On the top of the screen you can see the character's health bars. The player who runs out of health first, or is lower on health when the timer in the middle reaches 0, loses the round. Simple enough. All the characters in the game have 420 points of health, but they also have different defense values. You deplete your opponent's health bar by successfully hitting them with attacks. All the characters have at least the following normal attacks: punch, kick, slash, and heavy slash. All of these attacks naturally have crouch versions and also alternative versions if you're pressing forward towards your opponent while performing them or using them from the air. Slash attack has 2 different variations: close slash and far slash, depending on your distance from the opponent. A lot of characters also have the so-called command normals that are character specific. Every character also has a dust attack. Its standing version acts as a universal overhead and sends opponent flying, opening up an opportunity for easy combo afterwards. The crouching dust is a sweep that knocks down the opponent. On top of this, each of the characters also have wide range of different special attacks. If both players attack each other at the same time and hitboxes of the attacks connect with each other, it results to clashing, where neither of the players take damage. Clashing can randomly activate something called the danger time. When this happens, the screen turns dark and countdown from 3 starts. After it reaches 0, for 10 seconds every landed hit will be a mortal counter and deals 20% more damage. On top of that, hit stun during danger time is massive, allowing some very nasty stuff to happen. Attacks are blocked by holding the direction away from your opponent. Overheads need to be blocked standing up, lows need to be blocked while crouching, and mids can be blocked either way. The game also rewards you from timing your blocking correctly. This is called just blocking, which means if you block right before your opponent would hit you, you'll do a successful just block, which decreases the block stun you take among other benefits. Blocking attacks raises your risk meter, and if this meter fills up to 50%, it starts flashing. This means that every attack dealt after that will become a counter hit. Risk meter drains when character returns to neutral. You can also use a technique called faultless defense by pressing 2 attack buttons while blocking, which makes this green circle appear around your character. Using faultless defense prevents you from taking any chip damage through your block, and you will be pushed further away from your opponent while guarding hits. Faultless defense also allows you to block attacks that are not normally blockable in the air. Using faultless defense uses your tension meter. Oh yeah, this would be a perfect spot to talk about the tension meter that is located in the bottom corners of the screen. This meter fills up from just about every offensive action you do in the fights. Attacking, running, using special attacks, all raise this tension meter. Tension is very important in this game, because a lot of powerful mechanics in the game require certain amounts of tension. If you stay on the defensive too long in a fight and don't approach or attack, the game will punish you for your passiveness in a form of negative penalty that completely drains your tension meter to 0. Blitz Shield is kinda like parry of this game and can be performed while crouching or in neutral position by pressing 2 attack buttons simultaneously. If timed correctly, it will repel opponent's attack, leaving them open for attack for a brief period of time. Only way for them to be saved from this is to immediately blitz back after they get blitzed. This back and forth blitzing can go on as long as both players time their blitzes correctly and as long as they have meter. Using Blitz Shield drains 25% of your tension bar. Dead angle attack can be used to hit your opponent away from you during their attack chain by sacrificing 50% of your tension meter. To perform dead angle attack, you need to press forward and 2 attack buttons simultaneously while in block stun. Every character also has a throw move, which cannot be blocked. That is performed by pressing directions towards or away from your opponent and heavy slash at the same time, while being very close to your opponent. With successful throw, you throw the opponent to the direction you input the throw with. Throws can also be used in the air. You cannot be thrown right after you are getting up from a knockdown, but you can throw them. You also cannot throw your opponent while they're in hit stun or block stun. When you take damage or when time progresses enough, you fill up your burst meter. Burst can be used to break out of any combo and it will send your opponent flying away from you if it hits them. You can perform burst by pressing dust attack plus any other normal attack button at the same time, when your burst meter is full. Burst can either come out as a blue burst or a golden burst. If you use burst from hit stun or block stun, it comes out as a blue one, and if you use it from a neutral position, it becomes out as a golden burst. While blue bursting can save your ass from tight situations, gold burst will fill your whole tension meter if it hits successfully. Both players start with full burst meters, but when burst is used, the bar needs to be filled again, and the burst meter carries over to the next round. So you really need to think when to spend your valuable burst in the most effective way, while keeping an eye on whether or not your opponent has burst in their use. You cannot burst out of overdrive attacks, instant kills or throws. However, bursts can be thrown. You can also use your tension meter for character-specific super moves called overdrives. These normally drain 50% of your tension meter. There's also instant kill attacks for every character in the game. And yes, these attacks will flat out kill the opponent if landed. Now, before you freak out, these attacks are often very risky to use and rather hard to pull off. To perform an instant kill attack, you need to hold all your basic attack buttons down to enter the instant kill mode. When in instant kill mode, your tension bar turns glowing red and starts to rapidly drop. When your tension reaches 0, your health starts to drain down instead. If you miss your instant kill, your tension bar completely vanishes and you will be unable to use any actions that require tension for the rest of that round. And well, if you land your instant kill attack, your opponent dies and you instantly win the round. I left this most interesting technique as a last one. These babies are praised as one of the biggest things that sets Guilty Gear apart from other fighting games. By pressing 3 attack buttons down simultaneously, you can activate the Roman cancel. There are 3 different types of Roman cancels that exist in the game: yellow, red and purple. Yellow Roman cancel will activate if you perform Roman cancel on neutral position, during the startup frames of attack or during movement, as long as your opponent is not on hit stun or block stun. This type of Roman cancel can be used for multiple reasons, since in this game Roman cancelling also slows down time for your opponent and can eat their inputs. So it's a perfect tool to make things harder for your opponent to react or adapt to, acting as a surprise element. Yellow Roman cancel consumes 25% of your tension meter. Red Roman cancel will activate if your opponent is on hit stun or block stun. This type of Roman cancel is most commonly used for creating otherwise impossible combos. Red Roman cancel consumes 50% of your tension meter. Purple Roman cancel will activate during recovery frames of an attack while opponent is not on hit stun or block stun. This type of Roman cancel is meant to basically save your ass if you whiff something you think you can be punished for. Purple Roman cancel consumes 50% of your tension meter. Roman cancels in general bring creative element to the game and remain as sort of an element of unknown. Whether you decide to use Roman cancels to toy around with your opponent's reads, by making otherwise impossible combos, or saving your ass from trouble, this is one of the most fun techniques I've ever seen in a fighting game. That's all I want to share about basic mechanics of the game, and it's just the basic stuff. When you decide to start playing the game, you'll find layers and layers of more tactical depth. Something that is also a very crucial part of the game is, of course, picking your character. The cast of Guilty Gear is also one of the greatest things about it. Characters are very well balanced, and no matter which character you're going to play with, I can guarantee it will play totally different from anyone else from the cast, because all the characters differ greatly from one another and feel very unique. I am not going to tell you which character you should play, that's totally up to you. But what I can do is to give you a fast introduction on all the characters currently available in the game. Of course, the cast expands with every new game, with new characters and returning faces from older titles, but here's the cast as it stands now. KYKISKE, one of the kings of Illyria, is the Mr. Average of this game, and is closest example of a Shoto character that this game has. His defense multiplier, damage output and movement speed are all average, but he's very well-rounded character. His normal attacks have quite good range, and he also has good projectile attacks, which he can make even stronger by placing floating rings to the air which change the projectiles. So BADGUY is our bounty hunter anti-hero, who is another very well-rounded character, who excels in rushdown and keeping on a close distance pressure. One of his overdrives, Dragon Install, makes him go batshit crazy for a short period of time, buffing his movement speed and his stacks. Millia Rage is a former lady assassin who fights with her hair. She's one of the fastest characters in the game when it comes to movement, and has 2 air dashes instead of 1. She has low defense and relatively low damage output, but her high-low mix-ups and wake-up game, aka Okiseme, is very scary. Mei is a pirate girl who uses anchor as a weapon. She can control space with her ability to summon beach balls and dolphins, and she also has rather high damage output and good mix-ups. Blind assassin ZATO controls his shadow Eddie at the fight. He has very strong offense and pressure topped with unblockable setups. He can also fly around in the air as his second jump. ZATO is very strong character, but he can get in trouble if he doesn't have Eddie out, and his defense is weak. Chipp's elite soldier Potemkin is a character that comes closest to a grappler in this game. He has relatively long reach on his normal attacks and has a scary command grab. He also has the highest defense in the game. Potemkin has the slowest movement in the game and he lacks air and ground dashes, however, he has very good backdash. Ino is evil and sexy rock witch who uses her guitar as a weapon. Her forward dash raises her in the air, providing her with strong high-low mix-ups. While this hovering dash can be a blessing, it can also be her curse, because it makes certain situations harder for her to deal with. Faust is a goofy doctor whose fighting style has elements of randomness. He has long reach on his normal attacks and can move while crouching, which makes him able to low profile under some attacks. Faust has difficulties under pressure, and while he can throw random items around, neither Faust player nor the opponent knows what is coming out next, so the randomness is a double-edged sword. Axel is involuntary time traveler from 20th century London, who fights with his chain and sickles. He has very strong zoning due to his extremely long-reaching attacks. Venom is an assassin who uses his pool cue and ball formations to fight. His weird fighting style has very much depth and options, due to the different balls and formations he can summon, covering both zoning and pressure well. Slayer is the founder of Assassin's Guild, and also a vampire. He has very strong damage output and high defense, but short reach on his attacks. Slayer also lacks a typical forward dash and has a teleport instead that can cross up opponents, but makes it difficult for him to approach fast. Chipp is a ninja president and the fastest character in the game. He's also the only character who has triple jump. Chipp can teleport around, cling on walls and even turn himself nearly invisible, but he's also the weakest character in the game, taking by far the most damage from hits, so he dies really fast. Leo is one of the three kings of Illyria. He has strong damage output and close range pressure, but he lacks any zoning attacks and has rather poor movement. Leo can also enter alternative stance where he cannot block or jump that changes his attacks. The cheerful one of Valentine's sisters, who uses guns and different wedding-themed attacks in fights. She has great pressure, good range, high damage output and well-rounded moves. Elfel can even enter a rifle stance that allows her to manually aim shots from afar. The gloomy and emotionless one of the Valentine sisters, who fights with these two huge swords she can summon. She has good mix-ups and great corner pressure, but she has difficulties in neutral game. A sleeping man pinned to a mechanized bed. Bedman has a unique deja vu mechanic that lets him replay his special attacks once they hit the opponent. He also has weird movement in the air. Bedman also has very high defense. KYKISKE is KYKISKE's son, who fights using a flagpole and eats food during fights to keep his calorie meter up. He has high damage output and great reach on his attacks, and can link his special moves with other special moves. But using his special moves drains his calorie meter. If you run out of calories, Chen will be vulnerable for a short period of time after his attacks. That's it! That was my very simplistic explanations for all the current characters in the game. I know Guilty Gear has a reputation of a hard game, but there's good in-game tutorials for all the different mechanics and also tons of community provided information out there to get you started. It's now also available on Steam, so even PC Master Race can enjoy this masterpiece. In the end here, I would like to give a couple of recommendations for those interested about Guilty Gear. Firstly, I want to mention James Chen's excellent and starter-friendly First Attack series here on YouTube. I highly recommend checking those videos out for beginning Guilty Gear players. More great videos about Guilty Gear can be found from Novriltataki's, I don't know how to pronounce that, channel, which goes into great detail about the game's mechanics and characters with good presentation. If you're interested in watching some of the best Guilty Gear players in the world play, I would suggest checking Joniosan's Twitch channel. And last but not the least, the endless source for Guilty Gear info is of course the Dust Loop forums. You can find the links for all of these in the video description. That's all I got for you today, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully some of you decide to give this game a chance, and if you're already a Guilty Gear player and you're watching this video, just keep on rocking. Take care.